Federal Judge Tanya Chutkan, who is overseeing Donald Trump's case that relates to his attempts to overturn the 2020 election results, allegedly unlawfully, has issued a narrow and very justified gag order on Trump, preventing him from doing things like, I don't know, intimidating the family of witnesses. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is not happy about it. Before showing you a video of Marjorie Taylor Greene outside of the DC federal courthouse making a stink about Trump's gag order, I want to break down a few things. I'll, of course, fact check what she says after the video, go through the specifics of this news in relation to the gag order, but I just have to remind you once again about the magnitude of this case, because still I hear people so often, even good faith moderates, who misunderstand what is going on here. And so to do so, I want to show you a clip from episode 1 of Mocha's with MAGA, a docuseries on the YouTube channel centered around me sitting down for conversations, coffee with Trump supporters, which, by the way, episode 2 is coming out with a MAGA congressional candidate very soon. But in the clip you're about to watch, I attempt to explain one of the aspects of Trump's attempt to overthrow our democracy and install himself the president to 2 Trump supporters who, despite defending Trump in relation to his prosecutions, were completely unaware of this fake elector scheme. And this is just one aspect of the broader attempt, but we have to remind ourselves and everyone of the specifics as often as possible, because I've been hearing people, unfortunately, somehow still respond to conversations about this indictment and forthcoming trial and say, oh, this is because his followers attacked the Capitol, or yeah, it's because he questioned the results of the election, or is he not supposed to bring lawsuits to overturn the results? Of course, that's not what this is about. It's an alleged criminal coordinated effort, actions that went outside of our legal system to disenfranchise voters. So we'll get to Marjorie Taylor Greene desperately trying to defend Trump and failing. But first, as a reminder of one of the aspects of this scheme to put this all into perspective before analyzing her lies, here is my explanation to a couple of Trump supporters. Most importantly, the actions he engaged in and the attempt to overthrow our lawful process and keep himself the president. The fake elector scheme. Are you familiar?
The fake elector scheme?
Or I guess maybe the more unbiased way to say it would be the alternate elector scheme.
Which is because he said that he won?
No, he didn't say.
Or that there was something that... So what is it exactly that he said?
In the indictment, it breaks down exactly what happened here. So John Eastman, one of his lawyers, helped to concoct this idea that was to say, we're going to get individuals to...
Okay, see, right there you'll lose me, right? It says he concocted. So now we can read people's hearts and minds. Without
concocted is just create, came up with, is what I was trying to say.
But what I'm trying to say, well, that's his attorney. He's trying to help him get off. Just like if you did something wrong, your attorney would try to get you off.
You asked me what the alternate slave elector scheme is. I'm saying, let's just break this down separate from, oh my goodness. So I'm saying, if someone loses an election, but they're the president, they're running for re-election as Trump was, and they're the president, is it appropriate for them to then get people to say, not the electors that the state sent, but just random people to sign fraudulent forms that aren't the lawful ones that the state create, and just say,
we're waiting for it to be proven innocent.
We're the electors,
proven innocent or guilty right now.
If this indeed happened, we are the electors. I don't even think they deny they tried to do this. They just don't think it's against the law. And we should be counted instead of the actual ones. That would throw our Constitution into a crisis mode, because you have to have a lawful process, and you can't go outside of that. You have to be through the process we have. The state sends the electors get counted on December 14th, then on January 6th, Congress certifies it.
I know you're trying to compartmentalize certain things, and I understand people like to do that.
So it's the fake elector scheme, as I explained there. It's attempting to get Mike Pence to block the constitutional process of certifying the election. It's reaching out to local election officials and pressuring them to find votes and declare you the winner. And on it goes. I had to start this video with that because I need all of you to be armed with the facts when someone says Trump is being prosecuted for his freedom of speech. It's just completely wrong. A lie. This is about preserving our democracy, plain and simple, based on the prosecution of action. Trump's action. That's on him. With that being said, here was Marjorie Taylor Greene's response to Judge Chutkan's gag order, limiting some of what Trump can talk about before the trial. Very reasonable subjects, I might add, to limit to protect the legitimacy of the trial. And Marjorie Greene was outside the federal courthouse. Take a look at this, and then I'll respond.
What we just witnessed in the courtroom was the judge gave an order gagging President Trump. He's not allowed to talk about the special counsel. He's not allowed to talk about the court. She did say he can talk about Joe Biden and his administration, but yet Joe Biden's administration actually runs the Department of Justice and runs the special counsel. So her orders don't make a lot of sense. The boundaries of disparaging and inflammatory are the standards to be used to judge President Trump's speech. Gagging him and censoring him while he's running for president. He's the top presidential candidate for the Republican Party for 2024. But politics, all of politics is disparaging and inflammatory. That's the nature of politics and campaigns. So the judge has just made her courtroom now the Ministry of Truth, judging President Trump and what he's allowed to say and can't say.
I have more to show you from these remarks that is even more absurd, but first to respond to that. So I guess I'll start by addressing what she said there that was reasonable. Now that we got that out of the way, she of course alludes to the idea, now we're on to the unreasonable stuff, that Biden is targeting Trump. Absolutely no evidence of that. If she has an issue with this case, she should talk to Trump, who is responsible for his own actions. The party of personal responsibility should know that, and that's why he's being prosecuted. Anytime also anyone brings up the fact that Trump is a presidential candidate, they're immediately proving they have no argument in defense of Trump. If you are able to legitimately explain why Trump shouldn't be getting prosecuted, you should and must be able to do that without bringing up the fact that Trump's a presidential candidate. Unless you're willing to say you believe certain people based on who they are should be above the law. Not even someone who holds a position of power, just a guy who has filed paperwork saying he wants to be the president. Either the case has merit and there was enough evidence to indict him, which there was, or it isn't and there wasn't. That's the only argument to be had. But the fact that they refuse to engage, as we've talked about so much, on the specifics of the charges and the evidence and fall back on the who he is instead of what he did tells us everything we need to know about their argument. Now on the gag order, let me make something abundantly clear. Donald Trump should be thanking his lucky stars because he's being treated with kid gloves compared to any other criminal defendant who acts like he does. He's already called for the execution of a potential witness, Mark Milley, targeted the judge, in other cases targeted court staff by name and the family of a judge, called prosecutors everything under the sun, including deranged, a thug, lunatics, and on it goes. Plus, his rhetoric has already led to the threatening of the lives of numerous people involved in his cases, leading to an arrest and one of his supporters dead in a shootout with the FBI. That behavior normally would get you pretrial detention. So give Judge Chutkan your thanks, Donald, for her mercy. Moving on, as The Hill reports, a federal judge on Monday largely sided with the Justice Department in restricting former President Trump from attacking witnesses, can you imagine, in his election interference case, as well as prosecutors and court staff. While the coming order allows Trump to criticize President Biden, the Justice Department, the judge overseeing the matter, and his prosecution in general, the former president will be blocked from making disparaging, inflammatory, and intimidating comments about some parties in the January 6th case. Which, of course, is very reasonable. All criminal defendants can be subjected to this, so if anyone pretends to all of a sudden have an issue with the terms of release as it relates to criminal defendants, then if they're logically consistent, they have to oppose that for every other case they've never talked about. Continuing, quote, I was deeply disturbed, this is Tanya Chutkan, that just last week while the motion for a gag order in this case was pending, Trump targeted a staff member of a judge in another case. The Hill writes, the two incidents nod to the frequency of the statements Trump makes about the case, many of which would likely cross the line of the coming order. Quote, I'm not confident that without some kind of restriction, we won't be here all the time, Chutkan said. She also rightly brought up the fact that Trump, as I previously mentioned, said in times gone by the punishment for a potential witness, in this case, Mark Milley, would be death, essentially calling for the execution of a potential witness. Also the fact that Trump has said, oh, I know this witness is going to do the right thing or something to that effect, and has been brutally attacking numerous other witnesses, judges, prosecutors, as I previously mentioned. And then in response, and I love this, to Trump's lawyer using a bunch of politically charged rhetoric in the courtroom, Chutkan said, quote, politics stops at this courthouse door. Absolutely right. She then asked Lauro, who is Trump's lawyer, if it was necessary for Trump's presidential campaign for him to attack the wife and family members of Jack Smith, quote, mentioning his spouse, which of course it's not at all justified for any reason. So listen, super reasonable. Again, Trump's behavior justifies something far more severe, pre-trial detention, but it makes total sense that she did what she did, and I support her in that. Allowing Trump to talk about whatever he needs to campaign, just not targeting in dangerous ways prosecutors, witnesses, family of prosecutors, etc. So with all that being said, everything Trump will say on this subject, such as what he said on True Social, a terrible thing happened to democracy today, gag order, and what Marjorie Taylor Greene said is just false. Now, I promised you more from Marjorie Taylor Greene, so take a look at this wild moment.
So obviously everyone will see this for exactly what it is. It's the weaponized government, which we should never see in the United States of America. Another big problem is President Trump is running for president to stop communism, to stop the Orwellian practices from the Democrat Party, to stop tyranny coming from government, which the people are terrified from, and rightfully so.
So no, I don't know what to say to that other than it's wrong. It is not tyrannical or communism for Trump to be subjected to the rule of law. He's getting his due process, he's getting his day in court, he's getting his presumption of innocence, just like any other criminal defendant. Which again, if you really thought our entire constitutional, judicial, legal process were all tyrannical and communist, why are you just bringing that up right now? Hey, before you go, don't forget to become a member at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, where you will now be getting access to, for the first time in the show's history, a daily, not weekly, but daily bonus show, entire bonus show Monday through Friday exclusively for members. Plus, follow me on Threads at Luke P. Beasley, Instagram at Luke Beasley Official. Sign up for the Beasley Brief, a daily morning newsletter summarizing the previous day's events by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/brief. I will see you all in the next video.